guys, so today I'm going to tell you about the Disney College Program application process and my personal experience with it and what I went through. And I know it's going to be different for everyone, but I feel like the more videos you listen to and the more application processes you hear about, you'll get a feel of what it's going to be like for you. So personally, I applied 3 times to the Disney College Program, and I got accepted on my second time, and now this is my 3rd time that I'm actually going. So the first time I applied, I made a really dumb mistake, so I'm going to tell you about it so none of you do that again, ever. So the basic gist of the college program application is a general application, a web-based interview, then a phone interview. So when I first applied, I sent in my general application, which will be, you'll fill out like a profile that will have like jobs that you've had in the past or currently do, and like the description of the responsibilities and skills of each job and like the time period that you worked it. And then it'll ask for like your college or high school or any kind of education that you have. And I believe there's also another part where you can put if you're in like any organizations or volunteering and stuff like that. So that will be the general application. Then you'll send that in, and when you send that in, when apps drop, you'll have to fill out your roles, like what interests you have in each of them, and then like general information about yourself, what school you go to, like your birthday, you know, the general application kind of stuff. And then after you send that in, it varies on how long it takes to get a response. I've seen people that had to wait like a week or 2 before they got a response about if they moved on. And then I've seen people wait until the end to hear that they didn't move on at all. And that's called like stuck in submission. And then I personally got an email an hour after I applied. So it really varies. It also depends on if you're applying on the first day. There's a lot of people applying, so the computer system sometimes crashes on their end, and so it takes them longer to go through all the applications. And then if you're applying closer to the end of the application season, there's rumors that like they have already filled up all their spots, or like they're not looking at applications, which isn't true. Don't let that discourage you. Like, they are still looking at applications that are given in at the end of the season, because I had to do that the second time and still got in. I just don't think you'll get some of the harder roles to get unless you apply in the beginning. So the first time I applied, I got through to the web-based interview, and I got the email within like an hour or 2 of me applying, and I was so excited that I wanted to get to the web-based interview right away. And I also hadn't done any research on YouTube or anything like that yet. I didn't even know this was a thing, like people posted about it. So I just kind of went for it without looking, which I don't advise. That's like number 1 tip, research, which if you're already watching this, then you're already ahead of the game. And so I decided I wanted to sound genuine, but not sound like bad, I guess. So like if it said like, do you procrastinate? I was like, I mean, yeah, I do sometimes. Everyone procrastinates sometimes, but not always. So I didn't want to say like, yes, I procrastinate, but I didn't want to say no, I don't. So I kept going with like neutral, because a lot of the questions are formatted like strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. And so most of my questions I answered neutral because I thought it was the safest answer. Bad idea. I don't know why I thought that was smart. Now I'm like looking back, like that was so dumb. The whole point of a web-based interview is to find out your personality and what you're like and how you work. There's no right or wrong answer. And you'll find out like later on in the interview, it'll have like questions that are formatted with like situation based. So like, what would you do in the situation? It gives you a few different options. And that should have told me like they're not looking for a right answer. They're really just looking for like how would you fit in the company. So tip number 1, don't put neutral ever. Like ever. try to stick to strongly agree, strongly disagree. And if you are neutral on the question, try to go to like the side that you're more towards. So if you're more towards the agree, then put just agree instead of strongly agree. Just don't put neutral. It's a bad idea. Now that I have done research, I now know that a lot of people tell you to not put neutral, and the second you put like a few neutrals, you're already out. So I got to the end of the interview and was told I am NLIC'd. I was really disappointed. I'm happy I did start applying my sophomore year because I wanted to go junior year so that I had the chance to do it again if I did get this, if I didn't get it, which obviously I didn't the first time. So learn from my mistake, don't put neutral, and you hopefully won't get NLIC'd from your web-based interview. So the web-based interview results are good for 6 months. So you can't apply until 6 months has gone past if you get denied through the web-based interview. So I had to wait until the first week of March, which was the end of the recruitment season for the next season, to apply. So I applied the day my 6 months came out because I didn't want to wait any longer. But I knew that I was at the end of the season, so I was scared of like not getting in because of that. So I applied right away. I got through to the web-based interview right away, and I did it. I did not put neutral, I think, at all. And I got my email saying, congratulations, you've moved on to the phone interview. So now the phone interview you schedule, you have a window of time to schedule it. And you have anywhere like from, I think, 8 a.m. to like 10 p.m. where you can have your phone interview. And my suggestion and like my advice is to do the morning times, because you get a phone interviewer who is just starting out their day, just starting out their job, like for their shift for the day. So you're like one of the first people they're listening to. So they're excited to listen to you, not tired out from all the interviews they've heard all day. Which I don't know. I don't want to say it would affect you if you do it later. If you have to do it later, then you have to do it later. But I just feel like they're more willing to listen to you, and you're not listening to the same answer over and over and over again all day. You're one of the first people they talk to. And I mean, there's obviously people who don't work all day and they probably started their shift later for the later ones. So I don't think it's going to affect you all that much. I just think it's a little perk, I guess, to getting up early for your phone interview. So for the phone interview, some people like to look at the questions that are commonly asked and write their answers out and have a sheet in front of them, which is great. Or like me, I don't do that because I feel like I can't read from a paper as I'm on the phone. I can't focus on both. So I read all the questions, research what kind of questions are asked, and then in my head go, well, if I was asked this, what would I say? And kind of had a thought for each question, so I wasn't caught off guard if I was asked the question. So both ways I think work really well because you're prepared for all the questions, and one way you just have your answer in front of you, and the other one you just have to remember what you were thinking about when you first heard the question. And so these interviews are not like normal business interviews. These people are a lot of fun to talk to. I've never had an experience or heard of someone with an experience where they didn't like their phone interview. They're always really fun, and they make you so comfortable, like so comfortable. They don't want you to be nervous because they know like this is a dream of yours. You really want to do it. So they know you're going to be nervous. So they try so hard to make sure that you're relaxed and like just stress-free. And they try to make it more of a conversation than a interview, which I really, really enjoyed. My tip number 2, I guess, for the phone interview is to ask questions. At the end, they say hold all your questions until the end, and at the end they'll give you a chance to ask questions. Definitely ask questions. If you plan on taking classes, even if you know everything about all the classes, ask about the classes, because then it shows them you have interest in them and they like to hear stuff like that. Or just like a fun question about like, did you ever do a DCP or something like that. Makes them think like, oh, they really care, they really want to know more, they really want this role. So ask questions. That's also your time for work requests. So if you like want to request a location, apparently you have to do it in your phone interview. I didn't know that until later on. So say like you really want to work in Magic Kingdom. When you're in your phone interview, they ask like, if they say like, oh, do you have any questions? Be like, oh, I heard you can request work locations. Is that true? Or like, oh, if I were to be able to request a work location, like I'd really love to work at Magic Kingdom. I heard you can do that. How do I do that? And that's how I heard, that's how they take like work requests, but I'm not sure. So that would be in the questions area of your phone interview as well. And tip number 3 for the phone interview. They may call and it may show up as a private number. Answer the call. It also may show up as a weird number. It's not. So the third time I applied the first date came out in August, at the end of August, and I got my email within 20 minutes because I already had the web-based interview from the second time I applied. And so I scheduled my phone interview. It was like the first day of phone interviews, and my phone interview time was 10:15. And 10 o'clock came around, and you can get the call 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after your time. That whole half-hour window is open for you to get the call. So I'm just waiting around my phone. I was still home. I didn't go to college yet. And waited for the call. And I got a call from a number that was like 00105100, which I thought was strange. And it said location from Philadelphia. And so I was expecting a Florida call or private call because that's all I've ever heard they are. And so I didn't want to answer it. I thought it was a sales call. I didn't know what to do because I wanted the phone to be available, like for her to call, not to go to busy. So like I kind of just let it ring. And then my mom was like, no, you should probably answer it. Like, what if? So I did, right on like the last ring. It was going to voicemail. And she was like, hello? I was like, hello, who is this? And she's like, this is Christy from the Disney like recruiting team. And I was like, oh my God, what if I didn't answer? One. And I felt so bad because I answered the phone like kind of rude. Like, who is this? Like, why are you calling? I'm expecting an important phone call. And so I kept apologizing. I was like, I'm so sorry. This is Gianna. Like, it came up as Philadelphia and a weird number, and I didn't think it was you, so I didn't want to answer. And she had then explained, like, that's really weird. She's never heard of that happening. She is in Florida, and it is, like, the right call. She totally understood why I answered so, like, off guard, like, confused, because I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. I thought it was a sales call. So always answer the phone. If the phone rings within that half an hour and you don't recognize the phone number or it's private, answer the phone. Don't do what I did. Luckily, she was really nice about it, and then it was like a funny little joke, I guess, about, and that she like made it, which was really nice because then it made me calm down because I was already nervous, like, and then that to happen. So in your phone interview, another tip, if you want a specific role, make sure to bring up that role. They might not ask you about it. They might ask you about questions about roles that you didn't even put high interest in. Once they asked me about lifeguard, and that was just like I had it on low interest. And so you answer the questions about the roles they ask you, but make sure you bring up the role you want. If you really want Bippity Boppity Boutique, I know a lot of people always search for questions on like how should you conduct your phone interview. I made it known as like, this is the role I want. She asked me what the top 3 roles I was qualified for, and I said, well, I feel the role I'm most qualified for is Bippity Boppity Boutique. It's also the top role I want. And once you put those two together, she's now really interested in asking you more questions about that role. And then I just went on to say that my experience with hair, and I'm a dancer and performer, and that I've been doing other girls' hair like my whole life, backstage, like I always help out, and so I'm really comfortable with it. And I used to teach little kids in dance, so I'm comfortable with the little kids and helping them. And that's how I showed her how I'm qualified for the role that I really wanted. A lot of times you don't get the role that you really wanted because it was never brought up in your phone interview, so you have to make sure you bring it up. And so After that, it's a waiting game. You just kind of have to sit and wait. The second time I applied, I found out one of the last weeks you could find out that I did get accepted. But I also made it to the last round of auditions, so I was waiting for that to come out, and I didn't get the character performer audition. I didn't get the character performer role, which I was upset about because I made it all the way to the end of auditions, but I knew it was a possibility of not getting it, and it's really hard to get. So I decided to wait one more time because I also didn't get Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique that time. So I was like, let me try one more time to see if I can get one of my top roles, because I had one more semester where it's possible for me to go. So I did. I tried one more time, and I got in, and I got Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and I'm so happy, and I leave tomorrow. And so it worked out for me really well, and I learned from my mistakes of the first 2 times I applied, and like realized I didn't really talk about Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique my first time I had a phone interview, so then I made it a point to talk about the second time, and I ended up getting it. So that's my big advice to you. Talk about the role you want, talk about the location you want, just talk. You can conduct your own phone interview. They're the one asking the questions, but remember, you have you have control of how you answer and like where the conversation goes next. So always answer their questions, but always mention what you really want. So that's all I have for the application process video. If you have any questions about anything application-wise, or anything about Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique as I'm down there, comment down below with those questions, especially application questions, because I know they're just going out this week. I will try to answer your questions as soon as possible. So please leave the comments down below and I will answer them. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thanks. See you next week. Bye.